Well, hello, Dr. Greenberg. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Craig. How are you?
I'm doing great. Folks, we're here to talk about Super Greens Plus D, an incredible product that we want to learn a little bit more about. And of course, we've invited Dr. Greenberg, as we have with other products, to talk specifically about Super Greens Plus D. So let's get started. I prepared some questions. I'm just going to pepper you with questions and let you answer them and tell us a little bit about Super Greens Plus D in that way. So here we go. First question. Super Greens Plus D is a very special and unique product, as we all know. There are not many or even any products like it on the market. From your perspective, Dr. Greenberg, what makes this product so incredibly unique and successful?
Well, Craig, I've formulated nutritional products for many decades now. And usually when you formulate a nutritional product, you have a specific almost micro task in mind. In other words, you want to pinpoint it. What's beautiful about this is that it really covers so many dynamic aspects of the body, and it does so synergistically and working together. And so whoever created this formula, which wasn't me, really did an excellent job and really was thinking outside the box. So I think it's something to be understood and recognized, because it's not just its ingredients, and its ingredients are prebiotics, probiotics, vitamin D, and greens. And so you could hang your hat, if you would, on each of those items, but it's not a vitamin D product. It's not a probiotic. It really is synergistically something so much more.
And unique all on its own, right?
It is. It really is. And I think as we talk about it, individuals will get a better perspective of that belief.
This is one of my favorite formulas because of that very thing. It handles so many different items like you talked about. Well, let's start with probiotics. Why are probiotics so important for the gut?
Well, I love to say this. The word biotic comes from the Greek root bios, and bios means health. It means so probiotic is pro-health, is positive health, is something very positive for us. Well, we don't often think about that when we think about a probiotic. We actually just think more about, oh, this is a microorganism that we're putting into our body to help manage or improve or restore the bacteria in my gut. But we need to understand that it really is about improving life. It is about improving health, because our bacteria really makes up who we are. I know that sounds crazy, but the truth is that there is 10 times more amount of bacteria in our body than there are, let's call them human cells or mammalian cells. So
I have heard that before, and that's a scary thing. It sounds a little odd, doesn't it?
It really is, especially if the bacteria take over, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, imagine what they can do. Well, to make it even more, sounding monstrous, there are over almost 1,000 different strains of bacteria, different varieties. In total, they total out about approximately 38 trillion cells in our body. And that's just incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely mind-boggling, isn't it? And we don't think about it. We think about that we are this mammalian creature, we are a human, we are an animal, whatever we classify, but we really are a bacterial cell, and it's in its quite sophistication. So we really do need to pay close attention to our bacteria, because they're found everywhere. They're found on our skin, which is really the largest organ in our body. They're found in our mouth, in our nose. They're found most prevalently in our intestines. And that's where so much magic really happens. And all of this magic is really based on this great symbiotic relationship where we provide these bacteria with a place to live and a healthy environment and food to eat, and we take care of them, and then they do things that we don't have the capacity to do.
Sounds
Our
like a
body.
sci-fi movie, Rob. We're
I
the
know it
host.
does.
We're the host, and we take care of them. We provide food. It sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Well, it is almost. And it's time that we really understand that dynamics so much more and clearer to understand that that is really our health. The way our microbiome goes really dictates and determines our health. So our microbiome can help with so many various aspects of our health, including our weight, our loss, our gain, our blood sugar control, immune function, and even the way we feel and our moods through our brain activity. So there's so much going on with that. So one of the great things that I just want to mention just in passing is that when we feed our probiotic, our bacteria, our microbiome in our intestines properly, they produce wonderful metabolites for us. And one of the great metabolites they produce for us is a compound, a fatty acid called butyrate. And butyrate is quite famous in that it does so many things. It helps maintain our blood sugar levels in our body. It helps regulate our appetite without it getting too much or too little. It provides the fuel that our intestines need to grow and to continue to expand. It helps maintain an intestinal barrier. It helps regulate the immune system overall. It helps lower inflammation in our body. And it actually provides something called GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that functions in our brain that helps us rest and relax and slow down a little bit. So we begin to see all of this is coming from the bacteria. The formation of what it does and what it gives us is just so special.
Yeah, probiotics are amazing. The more I learn about them, the more fascinated I get with them. I know that they're not just good for gut health, but they're really good for mood and also for immune system health. Can you just explain these benefits of probiotics as well?
Well, you're right. And I think that's an area or areas that we really should focus on because so much of our, let's talk about our mood support first. So much of our mood support is actually made in the intestines. For instance, neurotransmitter like serotonin is actually made by the bacteria in our intestines. So, and as we know, serotonin really helps control our mood. And when we're feeling down or discouraged or any of those other ways, a good jolt of serotonin really helps pick us up. So that's one way that it does it. Another way is that we've discovered scientifically that there is this gigantic network of neuronal communication going on between the gut and the brain. And so it's not just the brain sending signals into the gut and telling the gut what to do, but it's actually the gut sending signals equally to the brain. There's this ongoing communication that really gives us a better understanding of what the gut needs, what the brain is calling for, kind of this ongoing communication. There's been research out there, and this to me is fascinating, that shows that there are certain, what we classify as psychological issues, that they have specific gut bacteria. In other words, they may have these psychological issues because of the microbiome that they harbor, that they grow, that they feed within their system. So by changing that microbiome, we may be able to change certain aspects of how we feel. Well, that in and of itself is gigantic. Imagine what we could do with discouragement, with depression, with moods, with all of these different things, if in fact changing the bacteria, the microbiome, can address all of this. So what a remarkable thing to consider.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I've heard the gut referred to as the second brain. So what you're talking about is very fascinating. It's interesting. It's like I said, it's a little bit like a sci-fi thriller, right? Going on right inside our own guts, right? So it's pretty interesting. Well, along the lines of probiotics, let's talk about spore forming and non-spore forming. We've got those two types of probiotics. I just want to make sure that we understand what that means, why they're important, and what's the difference between a spore forming and non-spore forming friendly bacteria.
Well, great question. And most people never take it to that level of grittiness, if you will, to understand. Really, when we first started thinking about probiotics, we really used almost exclusively non-spore forming probiotics. Probably the most common one would be your lactobacillus species. That's the most prevalent, and that is non-spore forming. It was later discovered that there's an entirely different family called spore forming, and there are distinct advantages, well, actually of both, but the spore forming actually has the advantages of a higher survival rate. So in other words, one of the things that we lose when we take an oral probiotic is it gets destroyed by the hydrochloric acid content in our body. And so it doesn't survive that. Well, spore forming microorganisms don't have that limitation. So they really survive so much better into our body. So we're getting more in, aren't we? The second thing is they actually maintain their high level of content over a period of time. Let me explain that. In other words, when we take a non-spore forming bacteria and we bottle it, it may lose some of its content over a period of time, and it's not as active, it's not as viable. That's why a lot of really good companies actually put more content in there at the onset than they put on the label, so that even 6 months or a year down the line, their product actually still has that content in there. And that was the way that top-notch companies got around that. Not everybody did that, but good companies certainly did. Spore-forming bacteria don't have that restriction to it because they stay alive in there. In addition to that, spore-forming bacteria have shown some advantages in clinical trials. Now, this is strictly based from research, but it shows that it may lower the cholesterol even more than non-spore forming. It may lower inflammation even better. It may improve immune response better than non-spore forming. It increases the metabolism. It increases vitamin synthesis and reaction, and even antioxidant production. So it's doing a lot more than non-spore forming is. However, the two together really cover all the bases. Remember, just a moment ago, we talked about the fact that there's almost 1,000 different species of bacteria in our gut. We really need to represent that as comprehensively as we can so that we can change all of those bacteria to friendly, symbiotic, as opposed to overgrowth, nasty bacteria, which are not helping our health and our well-being at all.
That's a great explanation. And I love to learn that myself. And I'm glad that all of our VBOs and customers get to hear that explanation. Thank you for that. Next question is about prebiotics in Super Greens Plus D. What are the benefits of prebiotics? Why do we need them? And what are the prebiotics in this formula?
Well, we talked about the fact that our responsibility as the host of these microorganisms is to feed them. And so one of the main foods that they eat are a classification of complex carbohydrates called prebiotics. And these prebiotics are actually, I like to think of them as microbiome fertilizers. They really are the perfect food. And we can get that in certain foods, like beans carry that, artichokes. There's some other foods out there that are really good prebiotics, but the problem is how much of that do we really eat and consume on a regular basis? So we're not getting the quantity of prebiotics in there that our bacteria really need. And that was seen throughout our culture. So it came up with a great idea of, let's supplement this. Let's augment this right into our probiotic product in order to not only give you the bacteria that your body needs, the microorganism, but why not give the food that we need as well in the concentration we need and not depend on how many beans and artichokes and other things that one is eating. So it's a great thing in there. And prebiotics have been shown to enhance the health, the longevity, the well-being, the content in which a probiotic even synthesizes. So its benefit is determined by the food that we feed it, kind of like we are as an organism, right?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense, right?
It really does.
It does make sense. A prebiotic is makes a lot of sense. So, well, let's kind of shift from probiotics and prebiotics to vitamin D. Vitamin D is it's called Super Greens Plus D. It's one of the main features of this product. Help us to understand the benefits of vitamin D.
Well, my gosh, we could spend a great period of time just talking about the benefits and the conversion of vitamin D in our body and in the liver and the kidney involvement and all of those type of processes. But we'll keep it simple for now. And we'll say that, first of all, vitamin D really isn't even a vitamin technically, because our body can actually synthesize it. And so the definition of a vitamin is that our body cannot synthesize it. So vitamin D is really a hormone. And so we'll still call it vitamin D and everybody else will as well. But let's make that nomenclature distinction and understand.
Something only somebody with a PhD in organic chemistry can understand, right?
I guess so. I guess that certainly is true. But some of us stay up at night just thinking about these things, right? So vitamin D, as we know from a perspective, has been so valuable. But we're also discovering it's not as easy to get to let our body synthesize it as we thought. We thought, all you got to do is get outside for a little bit each day, and all of a sudden your body is miraculous making all the vitamin D that you need. But the truth is, that doesn't happen. And the reason is because we don't expose enough of our body. We oftentimes don't go outside with bare arms or bare legs, or even as men without a shirt on to get as much skin exposure as we possibly can. The other thing is that when you really look at the quantity of time that you need to be in the sunlight in order to get adequate amounts of vitamin D, it's substantial. And most people, most days aren't living life like that. If, in fact, we know that almost 50% of our society has severe deficiencies in vitamin D. So, and the reason is because we're not meeting those criteria. We're really not getting outside. We're really not. So the option, particularly during these shortened months of the year like we are right now, the option is, of course, the same thing as we did with a prebiotic. We need to augment it through supplementation. And that's exactly the way to do it, to bring in an external source that is easy to digest, easy to absorb, easy to utilize, so we still get the benefits. Now, the overall benefits of vitamin D are significant. And it talks about, research has shown us, has proven to us, that it can fight off foreign invaders, it can boost the immune system, it can enhance absorption of calcium, it can even strengthen bone and teeth, it helps us reabsorb vitamin A, it can even perhaps reduce abnormal cell growth, which is very significant. It may develop or help improve autoimmune challenges. So there's all kinds of things. We know from our talk that it may help our moods, just like what we talked about in probiotics. It can enhance DNA repair. It can improve our energy level and in vitality. It improves muscle strength, fertility. It encourages healthy body weight. It really is something quite spectacular. And so much of us are deficient in it. We really need to supplement particularly during these shortened sun exposed months where we're really not getting outside, where we're really inside, particularly during this, what a daylight savings times or what.
Yeah.
I always get confused of what we call it. All I know is we don't get enough sunlight.
I love that explanation, and it gets me excited to go out and try this product even more because we all need it, right? And you talk about vitamin D, it's the sunshine vitamin. It also boosts mood, like you said. Well, that's what the probiotics do as well. So it's the vitamin D and the probiotics help with mood. So this is a nice benefit to this product, it sounds like, as we talk about it. Talking about vitamin D, most products, as I understand it on the market, come from irradiated lamb's wool. We don't use irradiated lamb's wool in ours. Thank goodness. We use mushrooms. Can you talk to this comment?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty happy to say that despite the fact that it is irradiated and it is lamb's wool, that no lambs were harmed during the making of most vitamin D. That would make it very hard. But of course, coming from an irradiated source is not good at all. And unfortunately, that is how it's manufactured. That's how it's made. So as opposed to utilizing that, we utilize a mushroom source. And that mushroom source is simply exposed to ultraviolet rays, just like sunlight. And that mushroom source then grows large quantities of vitamin D in there. Now, the advantages of this is that number one, it's sustainable. Number two, we're not adding any chemicals or problems or things that are damaging the cells or denaturing them. It's all done through organic processes, right? Just exposing it to sunlight, ultraviolet radiation. The other part of it is that it is easily absorbed. It is easily utilized by the body. And therefore, it really is a superior way of getting it into the body in a higher concentration that is sustainable. And I like all of those benefits of using the mushroom as opposed to using the irradiated lamb's wool.
I love that too. I just like knowing it's coming from a mushroom source. The last question I have is about the greens. I tend to want to skip over the greens and think about the probiotics and the vitamin D, right? But the greens are really important. Can you tell us why the greens are in this product and how they can benefit us?
Oh my gosh, this is the exciting part of this product. And the reason it's exciting part of the product is this ties it together. So if you think about the product, you've got this. Is it a prebiotic and a probiotic product? Well, yes. Is it a vitamin D product? Well, yes. Well, why would you put all of that together? And for goodness sakes, why have you thrown greens in there on top of it? Well, this is the beauty. This is where it all comes together in a synergistic approach, and the light bulbs will go off and people will go, I finally get this product and how valuable it is and why I should be taking it on a regular basis. These greens, first of all, provide all the cofactors that vitamin D needs. And this isn't something we think about normally. We think about, okay, I just need to take vitamin D and I'm going to get everything that I possibly need. Well, the reality of vitamin D utilization, hormone D vitamin utilization, is that we need cofactors. And those cofactors are magnesium, vitamin K, zinc, and vitamin A. And beautifully, perfectly, all of those cofactors are found in the greens that were selected in this product, in barley grass, in parsley, in spinach, and in broccoli. We find all of those micronutrients and more. So everything that vitamin D needs in order to become active is there. Now, right there alone is enough to say, what a great addition to this product. It's really activating my vitamin D portion, but I'm still not quite getting what my pre and my probiotic are doing in there with this vitamin D. Well, remember, what does these bacteria eat besides the prebiotic? They also eat fiber. And the more fiber we can feed our probiotics, our good bacteria, the more they thrive, the more they produce wonderful things like butyrate or other vitamins that our bodies cannot synthesize without the bacteria. So the beautiful things about the greens on top of the cofactor and the vitamin D relationship is the fact that it provides the fiber that our probiotics, our prebiotics need. And so you begin to see what a perfect synergy that all of these ingredients work together to create this amazing synergistic product that helps so many areas, our health, our well-being, perhaps our immune responses, our digestion, all of these different functions in our body we know can be changed and enhanced by probiotic, prebiotic, vitamin D, and the clincher of putting the greens together.
Yeah. Incredible product, incredible formula. Dr. Greenberg, thank you so much for taking us through this, helping us to understand it better, and giving us the reasons why we should take this product every day. This is a daily use product that we can all benefit from. Anyway, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.